Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We had great weather with a slight drizzle Saturday morning, but with the warm berg winds, which dries out our skin but chases away the cold at least, we could stretch our limbs a little and venture further than our backyard. I usually do a video on a Sunday afternoon, but I have to be honest, I just did not feel like it, as I had no idea where or how to start the subject or subjects I really wanted to talk about. And of course, the subjects concern the royal family and the Harkles, I must add. So I thought and pondered until I decided to give it a rest until I can find the right words and the right angle to start the discussion off with. I did the dishes, I had a shower, made my bed, and just chilled watching unrelated YouTube videos. However, doing so, the words actually came to me and I knew how to put my feelings into context. As most of you who have been here for a while will know, my guilty pleasure, well, not exactly pleasure, but more of an interest, is to watch and follow true crime stories. And for the past year, I have been fascinated with the Summer Wells case, a little 5 year old who disappeared in Tennessee. Now, if you think the royals and ex royals frustrate me, then imagine how the Summer Wells case frustrates me. I get so mad that I sometimes want to smack one of the creators on YouTube. But come tomorrow, the first thing I do is to check whether Summer Wells has been found. The reason why I get so angry and frustrated with the Summer Wells case is because years ago, myself and 5 other people investigated a cold case here in South Africa. Now, I don't want to tell you the story surrounding that, not today at least, but before we gave up on that, for reasons I do not want to disclose right here, right now, we learned a few things. One of them being a few of the reasons why the case was never solved. And one of those reasons was, of course, a massive cover up because of who some of the people involved were and because of other things those people involved were involved with. In the Summer Wells case, it is clear as day that certain expected actions are not being taken by the authorities. And I think that is not because of who the parents are, but of what they were involved with. And the knowledge of that could potentially ruin the careers or lives of others. So, authorities will do what they can in the hope that they discover some other coincidental evidence which could bring the case to a close and which they could then use to put the blame somewhere without having to go into or highlight things they do not want highlighted or want to come out. That is how I see it, at least. Now, does that sound familiar? Yes, my dears, whether we blame Hawkins County Sheriff's Office or the South African Police or the British royal family for covering things up, it happens everywhere. But the fact that it happens everywhere is not an excuse for it happening at all. What does it mean when something is blatantly covered up? And yes, folks, I fully get that it sounds strange as blatant and cover up appears to have opposite meanings. But what does it mean when it is clear in your face clear that evil or nasty deeds are being covered up. Well, here is the truth for you. It means that the ones who are doing the actual covering up do not care whether you know, because they do not care about you. They do not respect you, and they think you are lowly scum who can't touch them. Well, all I can say to that is amen. Now, you can go and dissect what I just said for yourselves. And a good way to dissect anything is to always put yourself in someone else's shoes. How would you feel if you were on the receiving end of such treatment? Okay, so with that long intro and laying some groundwork, here are the reasons why I am angry and irritable with the royals. And it all relates to what I have just spoken about. The results of the investigation into the bullying allegations against Meghan will now be buried deep, deep into the nether of never. Yes, the palace had made it known that they will not publish the report, and with that, according to the palace, it is all over, never to be spoken about ever again. Well, firstly, no one expected them to release the entire report with all the intimate details, but the palace themselves released that the Queen is paying for an investigation. They announced it. So now they have to see the process through and report back, even if that means a carefully crafted statement. The fact that they are not reporting back or publishing the investigation report or releasing a statement is as good as admitting that Meghan bullied her staff. Because why hide something if there is nothing to hide? We also know that the likelihood of 12 people being wrong and only Meghan right is very small. We also already know that Meghan's behavior must have been rather appalling for Catherine to muster up the courage to speak to her about it. And the palace has never refuted the story that Catherine spoke to Meghan about her treatment of staff. We have also seen Jason Knauff's letter. That man risked everything to speak out. And why would he do that if nothing happened? Personally, I am angered by the excuses people on social media are coming up with in an attempt to make excuses for the royal family. The long game being won, the Queen being so frail and not needing another scandal, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Queen's mother lived to the ripe old age of 101. The Queen could live another 5 to 10 years, but you and I may not. I mean, we saw this with COVID. People in their 30s, 40s, 50s passed away. However, the Queen at 96 tested positive and is still with us. So, using the Queen's age and frailty as an excuse is just not acceptable. Charles is now effectively running the monarchy, and his son William is turning 40 tomorrow. So it is time for them to step up and leave their wokery behind and get on with the darn job. And while they are at it, they should sweep in front of their own door before telling us how to live. And no, Andrew is not the only issue, although it appears that Charles and William would like to think so. But no, the Harry and Meghan issue is still looming over them and all of us, and has been for nearly 4 years now, and we are getting sick of it. Besides, like my friend Kathy said, now they will use the Queen's age and frailty as an excuse, but by the time Charles is crowned, he may be 80. And then are we going to go through another 10 or more years of hush hush and hush up because poor Charles is old and frail? Now, don't get me wrong. I have empathy for the frailty of the elderly, but I also have enough common sense to know that the world must go on. We should also remember that for Meghan, it is indeed all about the pose. It is all about the headlines. She does not care whether she is famous or infamous. She is addicted to being in the news. So, this is almost a complete exoneration as far as she's concerned. She does not care what the investigation found. She does not care how we feel about her or the monarchy feels about her now. She, in her own mind, she won, even if she didn't. By not making the results of the investigation public, Meghan won. In Meghan's mind, this is like a green light for her to go, 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 go and do what she wants because she is married to a dimwit prince and his family will always cover up their misdeeds. This is enabling her to continue lying, to continue treating people beneath her like shit, to continue being the Marie Antoinette of Montecito, except that she wants us to eat shit and not cake. And what about the victims? Remember Oprah asking Meghan whether she was silent or silenced? Remember Meghan saying that, like Ariel in Little Mermaid, she found her voice again? Well, what about the other woman? What about her female staff's voices? What about Samantha's voice? What about our voices? Only 16% of the British approved of Meghan. What about the voices of the majority, the 84%, who is sick of her antics? Now ask yourselves, what would have happened if it was a white male who bullied his staff? Aren't these legitimate questions? So, what are we to do now? Should we go ahead and accuse the British royal family of sexism or of racism or of being backhanded and not transparent as befits a parastatal entity? Because make no mistake, they are a parastatal entity. Some are saying they think some of the staff had spoken to Tom Bauer and that these stories will now come out in his book. And with the blessing of the royal family, because that way the truth will come out without the royal family being held responsible and accountable. Nice one. So that is what we have to look forward to. No accountability by the monarch and monarchy, is it? I'm asking this question already knowing the answer. Yes, there will be no accountability. None. We already know about Charles's feudal mentality. We already know that he never took responsibility for anything in his entire life, not for his friendships with Savile and Ball, not for the skiing accident which claimed the life of a friend, not for his spider letters, not for the tampon gate call, not for the cash for honor scandals, and so on and so on. No, no, Uncle Charles know all about climate change and all about alternative medicine and all about architecture. But he is so deaf, dumb, and blind that he knows nothing, absolutely nothing, about any of these other things. How dare we not believe him? Well, guys, if you believe that, then we can just as well believe Meghan that she got married 3 days before she got married and sack Archbishop Welby for misconduct. I think it is a huge PR blunder made by the monarchy not to release a statement at the completion of the investigation. Yes, they did say that as a result, they are implementing certain changes. Well, perhaps tell us what those changes are and when you are going to implement them. It is, after all, taxpayer money running and maintaining those offices and castles. So I would say the British public are shareholders in the business of the monarchy, and therefore they have the right to know how the business they invested in is being run. Now, other people in comments are saying that the royal family won't release details of the investigation as it will open a can of worms. Well, so what? We already know that Andrew had been a complete entitled ass at times, and in particular to security staff. We already know that Charles can be very polite to the staff closest to him, but can be brisk and sulk if he does not get his way. We know that Charles will do anything to avoid conflict, but that made him an underhanded SOB, and he will find a way to get at those who do not please him. We even know that the Queen is very kind to staff close to her, like Angela Kelly. But we also know that the Queen can be and had been very demanding of staff in her lifetime. And in her lifetime, there were a number of instances where she raised her voice at staff or dished out a sly insult. Add this to the fact that general staff working for the royals earn minimum wages, and I promise you, only the top and those closest to the royal family are happy employees. For the rest, it is not the greatest job on earth. And make no mistake, except for personal staff, there is a rather quick turnover in staff, as most stay for a year or two in order to add it to their resume. And then they quit and get better jobs or get themselves their own enterprises on the coattails of having worked for the royals. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave this rant right here, at least for now. I have a couple of other things that I am very mad about. So I'll be back in a couple of hours talking to you about that. Yes, it is me building up the courage to tackle the subject. So until my Ativans have kicked in, I want you to have a good time and relax. Take care of yourselves. Bye.